Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
And welcome to Sofa Reviews. Today Matt is making us watch Guyver, Dark Hero.
Based on the manga of the same name, it's released in 1994 and is the sequel to a 1991 live-action movie.
Luckily, the film starts with a summary of the first film.
It's been a year since the alien armor invaded my body and became a part of me. A year since I first became the Guyver and destroyed the Kronos Corporation and their shape-changing killers, the Zoonoids.
We're then shown that Guyver now spends his time fighting criminals.
Dolls. The latest technology. It makes cocaine with plastic. You can shape it into anything you like. Melts it back down. It's 100% pure.
By 100% pure, you of course mean contains molten plastic.
They send one of the guys off to investigate the noise, but he seems to disappear.
Hey, Benny, I said we're rolling.
Look, I know we're in a rush to leave, but you could still use the stairs.
After the gang shoot wildly at everywhere, we finally get our first good look at Guyver.
Guyver easily deals with the goons, but while this is happening, the security guard is shot.
The criminal begs to be arrested, but Guyver kills him anyway before making his escape.
We rejoin our hero, Sean Barker, at home, enjoying some time off from being Guyver.
He catches a TV show about a bear attack, although there seems to be more to the story.
It was a man, and then it was this thing. You see, with teeth and claws. Like one of those cave paintings I showed you come to life. No, I wasn't drunk.
And so, because of just happening to watch a TV show that had the same drawings that he's been drawing, the plot can actually start.
He hitchhikes his way to an archaeological dig where these paintings have been seen.
Because watching that TV show wasn't lucky enough, when he asks about the dig in a shop, one woman there turns out to be part of the expedition.
I said, what do you want at the dig?
He explains about his drawings and how they're similar to the ones in the cave.
See, I see it in my dreams and I put it down on paper. Yeah, I know what it sounds like.
It turns out Corey doesn't have a survival instinct and so doesn't immediately run away from the crazy man.
She does at least tell him that he can't come to the dig site and drives off.
Wait, I need to know.
Oh, you need to know. Oh, well, in that case, I'll help you, mentally unstable stranger.
She takes him to the dig, saying she'll cover for him being there.
He helps her with the vital archaeology supplies of beer and crisps before they head into the cave.
After showing Sean around, Corey introduces him to the others as well as her father, Marcus.
This is Arlen Crane, our operations director, and Gus Volker, our security chief.
She then sends Sean off to work with Bob, a man so dull that the film falls asleep.
Later that evening we see Doug, with a cameraman this time, hunting the werewolf.
My dad and I are known among the academic community as outlaws of science.
Outlaws of science? Surely they just call you dickheads.
Their chat gets interrupted when they hear a scream. Thinking it's another bear attack, Corey runs off to get help while Sean goes off to fight the bear.
He'll take care of the bear. Oh, shit!
Sean transforms into Guyver and shows up just in time to save Doug from the Zoonoid.
The fight is actually fairly decent, proving to be quite an even battle. The Zoonoid has to flee when others turn up, however.
Corey is happy to see that Sean is okay, but Atkins is curious as to what actually happened.
Sean follows Atkins back to the camp before learning that he's actually a government agent.
What'd you hear?
What? Nothing. I didn't hear anything.
Then why'd you follow me?
Just explain that you couldn't resist his musk.
Atkins pulls a gun on Sean, but before he can do anything, they're spotted by Crane.
What are you men doing there?
Cottaging.
Sean escapes, and then later that evening, he's woken up by the Guyver as he opens a hidden cavern.
Morning, Bob. This wasn't here yesterday.
Damn it, Bob, not only are you insufferably dull, but you're also an unobservant twat.
This causes them to start excavating, before they discover that it's an alien ship.
That evening, they're going to celebrate when Atkins drags Sean away.
Atkins questions him about the events of the first film, but Sean feigns ignorance.
You said the claws weren't yours.
No, he didn't.
Claws? I'm not the one with the claws.
Sean explains the Zoonoids to Atkins, but heads off before he can discuss the Guyver.
The next day, they're trying to cut open the ship, before Sean uses the Guyver to open a door.
Marcus goes in to check that the ship is okay to explore.
It's breathable, and the radiation levels are acceptable. We can continue.
As long as you don't want children.
They head in and it seems that Marcus is actually quite sensible.
If you have any trouble breathing, get out. We're not going to sacrifice anyone in the name of science, got it?
Despite this, they do at least split up, Corey finding a Guyver unit, whilst Sean tries to talk to the ship.
Sean gets no response for his pleas for a normal life. However, it's revealed that he was being listened into by one of Crane's goons.
Crane takes the Guyver from Corey, who keeps ranting and yelling rather than doing something about it.
Sean tries to explain everything to Corey as Atkins eavesdrops.
Corey doesn't believe him, but Sean doesn't transform into Guyver as a demonstration because...
Corey goes to see Crane but is captured after overhearing him being told that he has to kill everyone that isn't part of Cronus.
Crane goes to talk with Sean, trying to convince him that they can work together.
Crane at least decides to transform into his Zoonoid form to help back up his argument.
Reminds me of an ex-girlfriend.
I know! Look at me! I'm hideous.
Sean decides that he won't work with them and as such is knocked out.
Crane tells her to keep him sedated rather than killing him because...
Meanwhile, security is taking Corey away before their jeep is attacked by a Zoonoid.
She runs off before the jeep is flipped, causing the two security guards to start rutting.
Actually, it turns out that they're both Zoonoids and they attack the first one, who's revealed to be Marcus.
The two of them start to easily beat up Marcus. Oh, and the jeep explodes.
Elsewhere, Atkins shows up to rescue Sean, who has no side effects from being sedated.
No, it's too late. They've already taken her. There was nothing I could do.
Yeah, nothing I could do, because that's exactly what I tried.
Sean runs off to try and find Corey.
Sean shouts from the top of a cliff, somehow managing to work out where Corey is.
Guyver shows up, saves Corey, and then attacks the Zoonoids in the water.
He quickly kills one, allowing him to fight with the other Zoonoid, who is in fact the same one from near the start of the film.
After a brief back and forth, Guyver finally takes advantage of his elbow blades and manages to wound the Zoonoid.
This has the added bonus of allowing him to win a game of peanuts.
After finishing off that Zoonoid, he attempts to attack Marcus before Corey intervenes.
He manages to hold his attack and so Marcus runs off as Sean reveals himself to Corey.
Back at the dig site, Crane has gathered all the others in the cave.
I'm sorry, your services are no longer needed.
And I hate paperwork, so I'm having you all murdered.
Before they're killed, Atkins returns with backup to save them all.
He takes Crane and the others outside, but doesn't seem to bother handcuffing them.
It's revealed that one of the Zoonoids is missing.
Atkins decides the best plan is to send the other two men off to be killed.
Sean and Corey sneak into the cave rather than going in as Guyver in order to help everyone.
Sean explains they need to destroy the ship, whilst the fourth Zoonoid shows up with the remains of Atkins' men.
In the ship, Sean turns into the Guyver. The ship then communicates with him and teaches him the history of the Zoonoids and the creation of the Guyver.
Afterwards, Crane takes Corey hostage as Guyver shows up for the final battle.
Luckily, Marcus shows up and attacks Crane in order to protect his daughter.
Marcus fights with Crane. Guyver takes on the two Zoonoids, leaving Atkins to deal with the female Zoonoid.
He discovers she's bulletproof and so he bravely runs away.
After flailing around for a bit, he manages to electrocute her, as Guyver kills off the other two.
However, while this is happening, Crane stabs Marcus with a pipe.
How's he doing?
I don't know. It's bad.
Because things aren't going so well, Crane reveals that he has the other Guyver unit and uses it to transform himself.
The two Guyvers battle, though despite Crane's unit being damaged, he manages to defeat the first Guyver.
Although it turns out that Corey is a brilliant shot and shoots Crane in the head.
The shot damages the control metal on Crane's suit, before Guyver removes it, causing Crane to melt.
This presumably means that Guyver levels up, allowing him to finish Crane off with a superpowered shot from his chest.
No, he's always been able to do that.
What?
Sean sends the ship back to its home planet as no one can be trusted with it.
It's not safe. Let's go.
Maybe you should have got out of the cave first?
They head outside of the cave and watch the ship fly away.
And of course, the cave-in guarantees that Marcus was killed.
In conclusion, I have to say I really enjoyed this film. It's a huge improvement on the original, being a lot more darker, a lot more violent, and being a lot truer to the original source material. It also has David Hayter, the voice of Solid Snake, in the role of Guyver.
Although it's obvious to see why he made his career in voice acting rather than on screen. Throughout a lot of the film, he spends his time looking like he's waiting for a painful bowel movement.
Okay, but they do a lot of good work with the costumes. Guyver himself looks very accurate to the original comics, and the creature costumes are also really good and very well put together.
True, but that doesn't really explain why they felt the need to put a load of animal noises over the roars of the Zoonoid. It gets really annoying and bizarre to just hear random animal noises every time they're in any kind of fight scene.
Yeah, that is very irritating, but I do appreciate the things that the movie tries to do. The whole history of the Guyver scene does the whole thing without any words of dialogue. It's just visuals and footage to tell a whole story without actually having to utter a word. They even create a whole new Guyver costume just for one scene.
Of course, that's followed up by really terrible music for all of the fight scenes, and a lot of stupidity for the actual plot. Why doesn't Atkins handcuff the people? Why does he only have 3 guys as backup? And why does Guyver have blades on his elbows? It just makes it look really clunky and awkward when he's trying to stab people with them. Finally, with a lot of the fights, they're just flying about the place, and so it's kind of hard to tell what's an actual hit and what they're going to land from. It's very much 50-50, and you never know until it actually happens.
Ultimately though, it's a more faithful adaptation of the manga, with some pretty decent costumes and some very cool fights, especially the last fight between Guyver and the Guyver Zoonoid.
This film is a dull, poorly acted and ridiculous B-movie that clearly goes to show there is no point trying to make a live-action version of cartoon characters.
What?